And welcome back, everybody. This is Mr. Nibb once again, and today we're going to be tackling a topic of top 10 minions worth having. Now, this is my comprehensive list of minions that are actually pretty darn good. I know there's a lot of controversy over, oh, why are there so many minions in the game? Oh, minions aren't that good. Yeah. I'm here to present a valid argument. Some of these minions are actually really good, especially for Blitz. Now, I can't tell you how many of these minions have helped, rocket my score and catapult into the, top 10% every single Blitz event. So, we're going to start by going over these minions, why they're pretty good, and I'm going to rank them in order, and I'm actually probably going to do maybe a couple honorable mentions as well, things that you wouldn't mind having on your roster that could help you out a little bit. Now, starting out, number 10, we've got the Shield Assault. Shield Assault is pretty good because he does pretty decent AoE damage, and he synergizes well with Shield in general. His AoE does more damage to stunned or slowed targets, and as you'll find out, some of the other targets that you can go after as far as minions are concerned are actually shield agents as well, so it'll help you. Plus, it actually helps to use this character and even level him up, because who knows who you're gonna have when the Iron Man event comes, if you decide you want to use Shield Assault a little bit more. But Shield Assault is actually great in a team that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. For Blitz that I use, he's one of the characters in there in this AoE squad that I use. It does fairly well. It's in one of my top 4 squads that I use for Blitz. So that's number 10. He does just a whole bunch of AoEs. Basic doesn't really do all that much damage. He gets a whole bunch more health. Nothing crazy fancy about his kit, but let's just say that he's pretty decent for a minion. Number 9, we've got Shield Operative. Now, this is a very underrated hero, only because she only has 2 abilities. She basically has her basic, which is pretty cool because it applies slow and has a chance to cleanse debuffs. So she can actually get rid of a taunt or a speed up or an offense up that's on your opponent. And she applies slow, which is huge. I don't think people realize how important it is to have characters that put slow on the opponent. Slow's a big deal, so take note of that. And she, makes somebody else invis and can save their life. I can't even tell you how many times she's saved my life. And I also use her in a great lineup that I use for Blitz, and I have a 90% win rate with, and I'll go over that towards the end of this video as well. Number 8, we have the Hydra Rifle Trooper. Nothing fancy here. Another character that does AoE. I use this character in one of my my AoE Blitz teams. I'll go over that later. Has a decent basic, but has an AoE that's sufficient. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty decent. Next, we've got number 7, Hydra Scientist. This is a sleeper right here. I don't really think that people understand how strong the Hydra Scientist is. Just to break it down, he has a chance on turn to randomly throw a random buff on anybody. And he also heals and grants death proof. Now, he has the biggest single target heal in the game. I don't know if you knew that, but he does. It's pretty clutch. And he has a brutal basic that applies heal block. He has a strong basic. I'm telling you, it is really strong. And especially once you get him up to tier 4 and 5 in gear, he starts hitting him like a truck. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, he's like a glass cannon, but at the same time, it depends who you run him with. I like to run him with Merc Sniper. Those two are a deadly combo to use together. They both hit very hard. Merc Sniper's coming up on the list too. But Hydra Sniper, don't ignore him. Don't sleep on him. He's pretty dope. Okay, next at number 6, we've got Kree Royal Guard. Prior to Thanos, Kree Royal Guard was in my top 5 or 5 maybe tanks. It's actually really good, highly underrated. You can find him in using Blitz credits, so he's pretty easy to farm. He has a basic that applies counter and has a chance to grant ability energy to anybody on your squad, which is pretty cool. And he also has a taunt that heals him. and he gets a higher chance to block. So he gets pretty tanky. Early on, he might not seem like he's that great, but he's a lot like Thanos. Like, once you start putting some gear into him, he gets really beefy, and he's annoying with his counters and granting ability energy. And there aren't very many heroes, period, that grant ability energy. So having a tank that does, he's much like Cap in that regard, where he gives ability energy to your party and will help you use some of your hard-hitting abilities more often. Kree Royal Guard, number 6. Now, number 5, we've got Hand Blade Master. Highly underrated. This guy hits like a truck. His secondary ability has a chance to hit again, and it hits again frequently, a lot like Gamora's does on her basic, but Hand Blade Master hits really hard, and he dodges quite a bit, and he has amazing synergy with hand members. Like, I can't even tell you how great he is. He's in one of the squads I'll describe a little bit later at the end of the video. Yeah, he's pretty good, and he's fairly easy to farm as well. I think he has a couple nodes early on, so I would get him, you know, maybe level him up to level 20 or 30, get him up to like tier 4 or 5 in gear, and you'll be thanking me later. Number 4, Mercenary Sniper. This guy, he hits like a truck. He has one of the hardest basic attacks in the game. His secondary ability is like a tank killer. He will go through tanks like crazy. Like I said, I pair him up with the Hydra Scientists and Wreck tanks. Like, they have piercing damage. They go right through it. It's crazy how much damage this guy does. If you can keep him shielded behind a tank or cloaked behind stealth of some sort, then he is so good. You just have to keep him behind a tank and keep him protected or have a healer on him, something like that all the time. Otherwise, he's just going to die really quick. The computer will target him. Really good. Number 3, we've got Hand Sentry. Now, this guy can be a little bit harder to farm. Like, I know you can farm him with raid tokens. I actually lucked out and got him in an orb. He's actually really good. He gives everybody stealth. He's pretty beefy. He gets additional shield block as you level it up, and he grants everybody else stealth and evade. That is amazing. I pair him up in a lot of different combinations. It just depends on, you know, what I'm trying to do that day, but Hand Sentry is really, really good. He's not like a really clutch tank, but what he can do is he works well with, say, a Merc Sniper or a Hydra Scientist, where you can hide them under cloak and allow them to do a bunch of damage while he protects them. Number 2, got Hand Sorcerer. This is pretty much a given. Like, one of the strongest healers in the game, probably the second strongest healer in the game. Her heal grants defense up. She has a chance to go invis on turn, so she's elusive. Her basic can heal her, so she's resilient. She's just an overall really, really strong support character. I know a lot of people use her at like higher levels. She's not as good as Night Nurse, and Night Nurse is not on my top 10, even though she's a minion. Just because I don't really consider her a minion. She's that strong. Like, Night Nurse is really that strong. She's almost as good as, better actually, than a lot of the heroes in the game, you know, the main characters. So, don't have her in there. Hand Sorceress is almost there, not quite. She has some great utility, but not as much as Night Nurse. Number 1, Mercenary Lieutenant. Definitely the most underrated and underutilized character in the game. Okay, now, for those of you who don't know, speed is paramount. Anything that boosts speed in this game, or anything that removes speed, like slow, Hawkeye's second ability where he takes away buffs and removes speed, things like that are incredibly clutch. Now, the Mercenary Lieutenant is one of 2 characters in the game that grants a speed up to his group. The other one is Black Widow. Good luck trying to farm her. You can get in line, buddy. Like, we're all out here trying to get Black Widow. But Mercenary Lieutenant actually gives everybody offense up and speed. Here's the kicker. His basic has a chance to grant ability energy. So not only does he grant offense up, which is pretty big, and speed, which is huge, his basic has a chance to grant ability energy to everybody. It's nuts. Nobody uses him. Nobody's talking about him. But I promise you, in a couple months, he's going to be top tier because a lot of people don't even realize how important the speed up is right now. Like, it basically, giving everybody speed up allows you to take 2 turns for their 1. That's essentially what it comes down to, especially if they have like really slow tanks like Drax, Hulk. Even Cap isn't really that fast, but he has above average speed. But most of the tanks have like abysmal speed, and for good reason. Like, they'd have taunts up constantly, it'd be impossible to get around them, it'd be annoying. So it's a balance thing. But Mercenary Lieutenant's my number 1 minion. Now, some honorable mentions I'm going to go over here briefly. Hydra Grenadier. He's actually pretty good. He's decent. His basic doesn't AoE. His secondary ability can remove buffs, so he's nice in a group to get around tanks. I sometimes use him in some Blitz makeups, depending on, you know, what I have and what's available or what I'm going with. Kree Oracle as another hero that cleanses buffs, or debuffs rather. She's really great in like with Kree synergy, so if you're going after Ronin or something like that, like Kree Oracle is so good, especially if you're going after Korath. Like he's actually really good, and he has great synergy with like Kree Oracle, and the Kree Royal Guard, which we mentioned earlier, was in my top 10 at number 6. Okay, we've got Shield Medic. I'm not a big fan. Like, at first I was until I got, you know, Hand Sorceress and then Night Nurse, and then that made Shield Medic obsolete. Other than the chance to revive somebody, which, you know, rarely happens if you're using her, but it happens all the time when you're going against her. Like, she'll revive people right and left in Blitz, promise you. She's okay. Nothing great, nothing fancy in her kit. The big thing with her is, like, she's easy to farm. She has a couple nodes, and they're very early on, so you can farm her up, get her up in star level. She's great, you know, to get to 5 stars if you're looking to get an Iron Man, because you need 5 characters at 5 stars to get Iron Man. She's, you know, shield characters rather. She's great for that because a lot of the shield characters they're not easy to farm, and she's one of the ones that's fairly easy to farm. So that's pretty much going to do it as far as my top 10 minions worth having is concerned. What I am going to do is go over just a few of the lineups that I use using minions for Blitz, just to give somebody, you know, give some people some help out there. They might not know. They might be carefree or, you know, clueless trying to throw some of these guys together. Okay, so the first team that I use, I like to call Knuckle, and it's a little bit of combination of like stealth and synergy. What I use is Hand Sorceress, Hand Blade Master, Bullseye, Elektra, and Shield Operative. So you basically have Hand Sorceress, who has a chance to go invis. Elektra goes invis all the time, and she can remove a buff. Bullseye really just hits like a behemoth. If you let him get his ultimate off, it hits incredibly hard and can one-shot a lot of characters. The problem is, he never really lives long enough unless you keep him protected. Like, I like to use Shield Operative's invisibility, you know, shield ability or stealth ability to make them stealth and heal them up, and then you just sit and unload. The computer doesn't know who to attack because they can't focus anybody because you're constantly going in and out of stealth, and you get defense up from shield from the Hand Sorceress as well. So that's a really, really good team that works super good for me. Another team I like to use, I call AoE. It's basically just like a whole bunch of like area of effect damage that like hits everybody, or ability, you know, damage that hits like adjacent targets and so forth. So it's basically Punisher, Shield Assault, Hydra Rifle Trooper, Mercenary Lieutenant, and then you can choose either Mercenary Soldier or Ravager Boomer. I prefer Ravager Boomer, but Mercenary Soldier is there from the onset, so you might want to throw him in. Ravager Boomer has a little bit more damage and scales better, but basically, you're just using all of your AoE abilities, and then you're giving offense up and speed up with the Mercenary Lieutenant, so they're constantly attacking, and they're just using abilities non-stop. Another hero that I've used in there is the Hand Archer, because he has the ability to remove buffs. So if you see yourself like if you're going against a lineup that has a bunch of, you know, dual tanks, and you don't want to be tank blocked, then you can, you know, throw the Hand Archer in there, and he has the ability to remove those taunts and buffs and so forth. So I mean, there's a lot of different things you can try, but the main four: Punisher, Shield Assault, Hydra Rifle Trooper, and Mercenary Lieutenant, and then you can kind of work somebody else in there. It's a great team. Now, not my top one, but it's one of the ones I can, consistently get wins with. Last but not least, I've got Bada Boom. Like Big Bada Boom. Basically, this is Hand Sentry. You can either use Hydra Sniper or Kree Royal Guard. It depends on if you want a tank or not. Sometimes it's good to have a tank. Sometimes you really don't need one. The Hydra Rifle Trooper is actually pretty good. Just don't use the buff. A lot of people get mixed up where they think that, like, oh, I want a buff. It's a waste of a turn. He's too squishy. He might not survive long enough to even take advantage of that. So I always just use his basic, because his basic hits pretty hard and just burn people down. Mercenary Sniper, gone over him in my top 10. He's elite. Hydra Scientist, like I said, that combination, Hydra Scientist and Mercenary Sniper, are just bananas. And then the Hydra Grenadier, like I said, I throw him in there a lot of time because A, his basic hits adjacent targets, and he can remove buffs. He has an ability that removes buffs. So, like, if you're trying to, get around a couple tanks or get some buffs off somebody, then that's a great way to do it. That team works really well, especially when focusing down squishy targets if you need to, because you can take them down, like, really quick with Merc Sniper and Hydra Scientist. And then you have, like, the Hand Sentry to keep them guarded, and if you wanted some extra protection, like I said, Kree Royal Guard will do that, and he counterattacks and grants ability energy as well, so that's just like more snipes and more special abilities that you can get up. Well, that's definitely going to do it. As a recap, I'm going to go over my top 10 once again, all at once. Number 10, we had Shield Assault. Number 9, Shield Operative. Number 8, Hydra Rifle Trooper. Number 7, Hydra Scientist. Number 6, Kree Royal Guard. Number 5, Hand Blade Master. Number 4, Merc Sniper. Number 3, Hand Sentry. Number 2, Hand Sorceress. And number 1, Merc Lieutenant. Thank you guys for watching this video. Stay tuned for more, and please subscribe if you like what you see. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, throw them down there and I'll get at them as soon as I can. Thank you, and take care, guys. See you next time.